What up? All right, I'm here to continue my long COVID series. And so before I go any further, I just want to say I'm not a doctor. I'm here just sharing my experience and recovery from long COVID syndrome. So if you are sick, think you have long COVID or some other chronic illness or health issues, please go see your primary care physician. Go seek your doctor's advice. They know best. And just always consult with them before you take on any new treatments or recovery protocols. All right. So today I am here to talk about long COVID and exercise and just the role of exercise in recovery, which I think is very immense. And so if you're new to this channel too, please go watch my other few videos. Exercise is not something you should introduce right away if you've just became sick or chronically sick or you have long COVID. Or some other like post-viral illness or chronic fatigue syndrome, POTS, all these things. Do not introduce exercise right away. This is something that like after you've like given your body time to slow down for 6 months to a year, and then it might be time to slowly introduce graded exercise therapy. Do not just start exercising because there's something called post-exertional malaise, which means when you're chronically sick, when you apply stress to your body and exercise is stressful on the body, you will then crash after and you will go backwards in your recovery. So you have to be very careful with this. So that's my disclaimer before I talk about this any further. Also, as I've talked about in my previous videos, long COVID and these other chronic illnesses, I think are often diseases and syndromes of the nervous system and immune system, which are very intricately connected. And so you have a parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, and then you have your sympathetic nervous system, which is your fight or flight mode. And you're never just in one or the other. It's like a very flowy, complex system, and you're always kind of like ebbing and flowing between the two. And the problem is when you become chronically sick with something like long COVID, your body is just stuck in this sympathetic overdrive, and that it just causes all sorts of health problems like racing heart, extreme fatigue, because you're never recovering in this parasympathetic state. And exercise is something that can help balance and strengthen your nervous system and immune system and find that balance again. So what I want you to think is, long COVID, like you got this, for example, you got this COVID virus. It came into your body and it wreaked havoc. Like your body was essentially at war with this virus. It caused all sorts of inflammation, collateral damage, and now after you've recovered, you kind of have this like mess to clean up essentially. Like your body got rid of the virus, but it's stuck in a negative state. Like you just have this syndrome and there's all this excess inflammation and just damage. Like your nervous system and immune system are all out of whack and nothing is working properly. And so the recovery process for this is very, very slow. And as I said, exercise is not something you should consider in the beginning of recovery. This is for later stages, like 6 months, a year in, when it's time to take your life back. And so if you're in the beginning stages of this, please go watch some of my previous videos because I touch more on these beginning phases and how you have to just learn to get your body to relax and give yourself time. All right, let me continue. And the reason exercise is so important is this virus came in and it destroyed the homeostasis in your body. There's all this damage and it weakened you. Your body is weak. Your stress resilience is basically at zero. And you have to build your health back. Like you have to take action and strengthen your body again, but very slowly, because it's not just going to come back. Like this virus came in, it destroyed your nervous system and immune system, and now you have to build it back slowly. You have to take control of it. And so what that looks like is the first thing you need to do, in my opinion, is get your parasympathetic nervous system back working better, because you're stuck in this sympathetic drive and you have to pull your body back and get it to relax. And aerobic activity is what is so good for your parasympathetic nervous system. And so for me, things that I did was, if you're going to introduce exercise, I started with just walking. 5-minute walks every day. I would go for a 5-minute walk. The next week, 10-minute walk. 15-minute walks after that. And you have to very much ease yourself into this, because you don't want to have this big crash where you do all this activity and then it pushes you way back in your recovery. You need to take this very slow and realize, like, you need to build your health up over the next year or 2 years. Like, this isn't going to happen in a week, in a month, in 6 months. It's going to take time to build your health back, and you have to realize that. So again, yes, aerobic activity is the first thing I would introduce, and I'm talking just walking or the elliptical. Nothing stressful. Do not go run. Don't do any of that. Just focus on building up your walking stamina and focusing on breathing, because that is so good for your parasympathetic nervous system and getting you out of this fight or flight mode. So yes, so aerobic activity is what I would start with first, and it's literally just walking. And so when you can then comfortably like walk for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and you're not like having these crashes after, that's when you'll be ready to introduce a little bit more strenuous exercise. So now let me just touch on that. After you've built up some, when you have long COVID, you're so fatigued. That's why I'm saying you have to start with walking. You have to like build some stress resilience and some endurance back, and it starts very slow with walking. And after months of building that up, where you can, as I said, walk comfortably for 45 minutes, it then might be time to introduce a little bit more stressful exercise. For example, like some body weight push-ups, some lunges, things like that. And that's, again, just to continue to strengthen your body. It is like you have to build, like I said, you have to see this as this virus came in, wreaked havoc on you, and left you weak and like with zero stress resilience, and you have to build that back. And exercise is the best way to do that, but graded exercise. Like I said, I'm talking about walking in the beginning as your form of exercise, and easing and building back your endurance. So as you've built that back, right, it is important then, because you have no stress resilience, to increase what you're doing and to slowly start to stress your body out a little bit, because when you're chronically sick, you're stuck in this chronically ill state and your body's just always stressed out, right? And so slowly building back endurance with aerobic activity is step one. Maybe after a couple months, after you can walk for 45 minutes to an hour, you can then maybe try to go for a 10-minute run or a 5-minute run and slowly introduce that type of stress again. But again, I'm talking start slowly. If you go too fast, you will crash. And so what I'm saying is you have to start building stress to your body very slowly to build back its resilience. And aerobic activity is so good, like I said, for your parasympathetic nervous system, to get your heart and your lungs and your nervous system, like your circulatory system, working properly again. And it will do wonders for you, because when you have something like long COVID, for me, like I had POTS, like I would stand up, my heart would just race. I had no control over, like, my body lost control of, how to circulate blood, how to breathe properly, how to, like my heartbeats were irregular, and slowly increasing your aerobic endurance will help strengthen and sort that out. Okay, so after you've built back some endurance over months, like then it might be time to start introducing, you have to make sure you're tolerating that well. Like you cannot apply more stress until you are able to tolerate, let's say, a 15 to 20 minute run with nothing bad happening after. right? With no crash, with none of this post-exertional malaise. Um, so after you've gotten your parasympathetic nervous system to work properly again and to get out of this sympathetic drive, applying more stressful exercises like lifting weights, for example, squatting, deadlifting, running sprints or running faster, all those things are very important because doing, like, again, I'm not like getting from point A of doing walks to doing hard workouts in the gym is a long and tedious process. I'm talking 6 months minimum. We're talking more like a year. But it is important to begin to do more stressful workouts in the gym because again, you have to build your stress resilience back. And like like I said, aerobic activity is so good for your parasympathetic nervous system. Lifting weights and doing things that are like more strenuous it's so good for your sympathetic nervous system. It's teaching your body like how to handle stress again, and that's so important because, for example, when you have long COVID, you're stuck in this chronically stressed state, so your body thinks it's always stressed out. So that's why you have all this pain, all these like tremors. You can't control anything because your body just thinks it's always stressed. So to introduce a real stress again will help your body like understand and recover and realize like this is real stress, so your body's not chronically thinking it is stressed out, if that makes sense. So slowly introducing more stress will help your body build its stress resilience back and realize like I am safe, this is real stress, I can handle real stress. And so like mentally your body will start to realize like, okay, I'm getting better, like I can handle stress. So like in these other times of the day, your parasympathetic nervous system will take over where you're recovering because you'll be like, wow, I was stressed out here, I did something stressful, and now I'm going to recover. So it's like it's just very important to build your stress resilience back, and that's what like lifting weights does. And also, when you have something like long COVID, we talked about neuroplasticity in my last video. Exercise is so good for neuroplasticity. Specifically, again, this is way later in recovery, but doing things like lifting weights and doing explosive exercises, it releases something called BDNF in your brain, called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, and that's essentially like fertilizer for your brain. So as we've talked about in neuroplasticity, exercise will literally form new pathways in your brain, specifically like lifting weights. As I said, because that's real stress, so it will like release these new, and allow your brain to form these new neural pathways of like this is stress, and then when you're not in the gym, your body won't be as stressed out, because again, explosive exercise releases BDNF, which helps your brain form new neural pathways and be more plastic. Trying to think what else I want to cover. I know I don't want to make this video too long because this is so complex, and so yeah. Let me just think for a second. So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is to continue from my video from last, exercise is so good for neuroplasticity and forming new pathways and teaching your body how to feel safe again, because you're beginning to apply stress again. Like I said, you have your parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, and they ebb and flow between each other. In order to gain stress resilience and become more like just become healthy again, you have to introduce stress slowly to help your body realize what true stress is, so that it can like recover again and get out of this chronically stressed state which you just are in. And exercise, again, is so like moving your body and building strength is just so good for anxiety, depression. It literally, like I said, forms new pathways in your brain and teaches your body to be strong again and how to handle stress and recover. All right, I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm just going to upload this video directly from my iPhone. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you guys want to hear more about exercise. I just wanted to kind of introduce this topic, and I will certainly go into much more detail if that's something you guys want. So I hope you guys are doing good. Hope you're enjoying this beautiful weather that is coming. Yeah, it's summer is approaching fast, so I hope you guys are doing well, and I'll see you soon.